This is the rhythm of change in the darkest time. This is the sound of redemption. We will rise. This is the way that we bring it in the darkest time. This is the way that we bring it down. We will rise. Down, down, down. I can't deny what I see, what I see. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. I can't deny what I see, what I see. Down, down, down. Igniting the fire within you, exalting the melody of freedom. We will. These are the things that will bring it down. We will rise. Down, down, down. I can't deny what I see, what I see. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. I can't deny what I see, what I see. Down, down, down. We will rise. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud, shout loud. We will Let's rise. Bring it down. Let's bring it way down. We will rise. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. We will rise. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down.
We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. Come on. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode, well not just any other episode of the Eric Dawson Show. This is the DeGiovanni Day episode of the Eric Dawson Show, as I'm always excited. But I want to say I'm so grateful that my sister and her family were granted travel mercies and made it back safely from their vacation to Hawaii.
Yes.
So aloha, right? There it is.
Aloha.
There it is. So how was it?
Listen, if you've never been to the Big Island, run, don't walk.
Really?
That's all I gotta say.
So so which island were you?
So I went on the island. I guess it's technically called Kona, which is the Big Island. They term it the Big Island because it's the largest of the Hawaiian islands.
Okay.
It also has the active volcano on it. And if you remember, Eric, the volcano erupted in 2018. It was very, very significant. It made the news, the national news.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last time I was in Hawaii was about 15 years ago. I actually went on an incentive trip through my company.
Okay.
It was actually my very first, what we call a Circle of Excellence trip. And I went to the volcano. I did the black sand beaches. I did some of the similar things I did this time. However, the landscape changed a bit because of this 3 years ago volcano that erupted. My children and I and my husband, they had never been. We walked down to the volcano floor and you think, oh my God, weren't you afraid? No, because if you know anything about science and how science evolves, and once a volcano erupted, I did all this research, which is the reason why I went to that island, because I really love it, and I feel like it's also educational for myself as well as my children.
Mm-hmm.
The volcano erupted in 2018. It was extremely significant, so much so that it wiped out a couple of homes and neighboring places on the what I'm going to call sort of the western side of Hawaii. We were on the eastern side.
Okay.
And so we had to drive 2 hours from our hotel to get there. So we walked down, and it's not even a strenuous hike down to the volcano floor, about half a mile down, and you're literally walking around on the floor of this particular volcano that erupted, 3 years ago.
So wait a minute, let me back you up for a second, because I want to try to picture this. So, I've never been to Hawaii. I've never been around the volcano, but I've seen them on TV. So it's a cone-shaped kind of thing, right? And there's this activity, this pressure that builds up inside, gases and such, right? And at some point it erupts, and so everything pushes up and out of it, right? The pressure, and then you have gases that escape, and you can have fire and lava and all that other kind of stuff. So,
yeah, however, your traditional cone shape that you're thinking of, not always the case, because of how there are several volcanoes in Hawaii at the Big Island, and I guess they blend from one another,
mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of time, volcano may also have earthquakes that come right afterwards, which will crack the ground, and then the volcano's literally escaping, if you will, if that makes sense. From certain parts of the crack. And so that's what happened in 2018. And that's what made it so bad, is because the earthquake followed afterwards, and parts of this particular island, again, 2 hours from where I'm going to call the tourist area, it started to crack into certain parts of the kind of the surface, if you will,
mm-hmm.
and then it would come up. So now it's actually a national park that I go to, which again can tell you that it's safe, right?
So wait a minute, but when you say floor of a volcano, that's what I'm trying to understand. So
okay.
So are you inside the volcano, or you're on the exterior?
Now, at some point, that's a really good question, Eric. At some point, maybe it did look lava-ish. I mean, what do you call that, cone shape?
Uh-huh.
Not that I can recall, though. We were literally, so think about it like this. When things bubble up, what happens after they bubble up?
They settle.
Calm down.
Right.
And so we're walking on the calm down part.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And the calm down part, completely dry, because that happened 3 years ago. It takes a while. It takes a couple of months for it to literally be not hot to the touch, right? And then we're walking around, and now it's that the thing about volcanoes I learned as well is they actually increase the footprint of a particular island.
Yeah.
Right? Which is pretty significant too. And so we're literally walking around on dried lava.
So you know what I always found fascinating about volcanoes? I mean, there's a part of us all that gravitate toward catastrophes, right? A Cat 5 tornado, or, a destructive hurricane, right? We all kind of, like stare at it in awe, because it is awesome, right, to watch. And we don't always associate the loss of life and the devastation to families in terms of property and belongings and stuff, right? We just see the event itself. And I remember when the volcano erupted, and they were talking about, I don't know if it was that volcano, if it was another one, but they were talking about the property that was nearby, right? And what I found to be most fascinating about a volcano unlike a hurricane or a tornado. When you have a hurricane or a tornado that comes through, it's almost instantaneous, right? Wipes it out. With a volcano, the lava, right, that pours from the volcano is slow moving, right? It's not like it is in the movies, right? It is slow moving.
Yeah.
And if your home is in the path of that slow moving lava, you have a determined amount of time before your property is going to go up in flames. And
Exactly.
they can track based on the movement of the volcano. They can say that house is gonna the volcano's the lava's gonna reach that house in 37 hours. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing. And so do you remember in 2018, because it made national news, they made parts of the island evacuate
Yes.
because of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because they knew, the people kind of stuck it out and thought, oh, maybe maybe the lava will go left instead of right. And so because of technology nowadays, they can anticipate exactly where it will go and exactly how long it's going to take there based on the speed that it's traveling.
Yeah.
And so to your point, one of the things that I watched in my hotel room was they showed, I think it was 1959, when they had this same particular volcano erupted.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed how they built up this one area within the Big Island. And they put back houses, and people had very beautiful houses right on the water. They put back the houses, and they put back the pools and all the beautifulness to make it a new community, right? Because it was devastation. Here we are, 40-something, 50, 60 years later, 2018, they showed that same exact neighborhood gone.
Again.
Gone again.
Yeah.
Again.
So here becomes the question that I asked too, right? So, well, it reminds me of the movie, first of all, if you've ever seen it, Volcano, which, if you understand what you and I are talking about, in the movie, it doesn't work like that. I think Tommy Lee Jones was in the movie Volcano, and, the lava was actually flowing like water. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then they were redirecting the lava, right, by putting up those cement barricades, right? That doesn't that doesn't happen.
2,500 degrees.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom that.
Yeah.
2,500
But
degrees.
here's the question I want to ask. You have people, Deidre, who, whether in California, they want to build their homes on cliff sides, right?
Yeah.
And you have, and in fact, there was an earthquake in LA just the other day, right? So those people do that. In Hawaii, you have people who continue to build homes at the base of volcanoes, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I know. And I mean, if you saw this documentary was so good because, like I said, you can see 1959 to 2018, and they'll show you, like what it looked like then and what it looked like now, and it's almost decimated. And so those folks that built, let's say it erupted in 1959, and maybe it took 10, 15 years to build back that area. I guess in your word of words, or your thought process, maybe you think that 100-year thing, right? Nothing's going to happen in 100 years, so I'm good. That'll outlive me. And so maybe that's their thought process. The thing with LA, though, and the earthquake area there, I don't know that much about that. But what I do know is that, some folks are willing to take that risk because they want that landscaping views of the Pacific Ocean. They want that house, and now obviously there's earthquake insurance, I'm sure, which is very expensive. But maybe to them it's worth the risk. I know that they have earthquakes all the time in LA, and a lot of times they're very, very minor. So you don't even really notice it. Those big ones are the ones that we hear about.
Yeah. My belief is this. I just want to, I think I heard Diane chiming in because Diane is our resident insurance expert, right?
Perfect.
But
yeah, earthquake insurance is expensive. However, they even sell it now here in New Jersey and down the coast. Because if you remember, back in 2016, 2015, We had an earthquake
Yeah.
that started down in D.C. area, a little below D.C., and went all the way up to Boston.
Yeah.
And they actually put a crack into the Washington Monument. Remember, the Washington Monument was closed for about a year or two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question I want to ask you, Diane, because I remember at some point, I don't know if it still happens, that with some of these properties, when this devastation occurs, to some extent, taxpayers are on the hook for some of this too, right? And
The government has to step in.
yeah, and my thing is this: like, I don't live there. I advise you not to live there. Yeah. So now, if you decide to live there, then you should be on the hook, not my money. You know.
Good point.
Right, but that's true. But your money, when you pay through your taxes, is split up for various different things. So there's a local tax, your municipal tax, your school board tax, your county tax, your state tax. So a portion of your tax goes towards everything, and some is specific for certain areas. So yeah, you may think that way, but it's a numbers game. So that's why they stretch it out for some things across for everybody to participate in, because otherwise those people in that area wouldn't be able to afford to live in that area to pay the taxes. Their taxes would probably be as much as the house.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And also the government tells you where you can build. So if you try to build a house there and they say it's uninhabitable, then you can't build there. But if they say, oh, it's inhabitable, then guess what? Therefore, everyone's willing to assume the risk, including the federal government.
Right, but the person who doesn't get to live in Malibu is also assuming a risk. Right? Anyway, listen, I'm glad you guys are back. I'm glad you had a great time. You were showing a tchotchke that you brought back from
oh yeah. So
now what is that?
So this year it's like a little, you see the magnet on the back?
Uh-huh.
So it goes on my refrigerator.
Oh.
I just think it's cute.
I love it.
That's great.
I brought back these little light up pins for some of my staff members here. They claim it was lighting up. I can't seem to get mine lighting up.
Uh-huh.
It lights up, I think, when you write.
Now, do they do the? Now again, I've never been to Hawaii. I just see it on TV.
Yeah.
When you get there, do they actually put the lei on you? Do you get one?
No, they don't.
See, that's only on the.
I was really sad. So the very first time I went to Hawaii, remember I told you it was an incentive trip?
Mm-hmm.
So we got the whole shebangy bang, which included the leis. So it was just me and my family, and no one was waiting at the airport for us with leis. We had to go. Let me back up for a quick second. Hawaii is not playing with COVID. They are not playing. You need to get a test 72 hours before you even land, and take into consideration how long it's going to take you to get there with that 72-hour number.
Mm-hmm.
Because my friend messed up and hers was 80 hours, and they made her retest. So 72 hours before you get there, you have to show negative test. And then, as soon as you land, you log into your portal, and they test you again right there.
Now, do they contact trace you once you're there?
Yes, and they contact trace you. So when I had to go get the rental car, my rental car company, we had to pull up the portal. When I went to check into the hotel wants us to pull up the portal, because the portal shows you that you've been negative.
Right.
So you've been negative in the continental U.S. You've been negative when you landed in Hawaii. And so they are, and certain places you're going, like me and my husband, we went coffee tasting. They do contact tracing there as well. So I can't say I noticed a lot of contact tracing. I'll be really honest with you. That coffee place was the only one I remember, and we went out to eat at restaurants, obviously pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, that the coffee one was a big one, because everyone wants Kona coffee, so it's a pretty popular tourist attraction to do when you're there. But Hawaii is not playing. Even when we are, driving, you have to rent a car, because the Big Island is literally big. So you hear a lot of PSA announcements on the radio about being tested for COVID, and you need to quarantine if you're positive, because you want to help your ohana, which is your family, which is in Hawaii. And so they're constantly saying it over and over again. Please test, please test, please test.
See, I was listening to something on the news this morning, right? And they were talking about the lady who was broadcasting was talking about a friend of hers who just came back from Israel. And she was saying the same thing, Deidre. Said Israel is not playing. Said you have to test before you go, right? When you get there, they test you, and then there's contact tracing. So they got a phone call when they got to their residence, so that you had to report where you're going to be, right? The government checked, somebody from the government health organization there checked on them while they were there, right? And then she said, so all of that was taking place. Said, but then on the flight back to America, none of it. None of it. No testing when you get to the airport, no whatever, no contact tracing, no communication.
Well, that law has changed. That she must have went prior to January 26th, because after January 26th, the federal government passed a law. Any place you're coming, not within the United States, so I didn't have a test coming back, but you're anywhere else, you need a test within 72 hours of flying home to the United States.
But here's the question. But what she's saying is that there's no, like they tell you that there's no way for them to trace you once you get here.
So Deidre, did they accept, like, if you were if you had the vaccine, do they still test you with the vaccine? Because I guess the vaccine 100%.
No, and so my husband and I are fully vaccinated, but I think, remember, vaccinations just happen.
Right.
So I don't think that maybe that's going to be coming down the pipe. Like, I know that because of me being vaccinated, I now don't have to quarantine, and that law literally just passed last night. So here I am. I'm back in the office. So in terms of your vaccination card, I'm hoping that they're going to do something which is like I was reading how they're going to try to do like an online system.
I think they do have an online system, because I think they gave me documentation that said I can register online. Now I don't know what it's going to actually do, if it's going to track me or anything, but yeah, there is something already in place for that.
Oh, good. And I also heard international travel, you won't even be allowed to book a flight internationally unless you've been shown you've been vaccinated within 90 days of your flight. Wow. So I that was one of the things. A couple of my friends were, one particular friend was not interested in being vaccinated. But then she determined that, let me do the math. If you want to go somewhere in June, guess what? You need to be vaccinated right now in April.
But
you're not going anywhere this summer.
But here's the
thing. I was watching the basketball game the other day, Eric, and they were announcing that they were opening up the stadium.
Yeah.
They were given an option that you had to be tested when you come in, or show your vaccination card in order to come in. I don't know if they talked about buying tickets, but they just said to come into the stadium, because they look like different stadiums had more people. But it also, my husband said, it looks like even with football that the Republican states were crowded, where the Democratic states were just the reverse. Have you noticed that?
You're asking me,
Eric?
Yeah, they have been. So, but here's my question. So, with all of what we're talking about, Amina went to South Carolina. Now, South Carolina is one of those states, right? Outside of Hilton Head, though, the island, she said that people are wearing masks, by and large. But South Carolina, as a whole, is just kind of wide open, right? But when she left from New Jersey to go fly to South Carolina, there was no checking. There was no. There were no regulations. They didn't. She didn't have to take a COVID test. She didn't have to show a vaccination card. So now she gets on a plane with a whole bunch of other people, right? And now she had 2 masks on. She had her shield on, all that other kind of stuff, or whatever. But so you're in this airport, you're in this whatever, you go there, right, Diane? So you leave a blue state, because you're talking about, blue states, red states, right? So you leave a blue state and you go there where those people are just running wild, and you don't know how many people, because they're vacationing spring break, maybe came from Texas and some of these other states that are just kind of crazy, right? And so now she's from New Jersey, but she's now mingling with people from God knows where, and nobody knows who has COVID, who doesn't, because there's no testing. And then they all go back home. This is crazy. I mean, America is really crazy with with how, I am deeply concerned. I am deeply concerned.
The biggest issue right there with that is when you talk about the airlines is a federally controlled agency. So I would have thought that even because there are a smaller amount of planes that are going out, and it says that now there's actually a shortage of pilots, because what happened was, because of COVID, they usually recruit from the military, and many of the military flyers have decided to finish out their careers in the military because of COVID. So they're now and get them vaccinated as well. But I would have thought that, like, if you were going into another country, the first place, especially initially, since there are a small amount of people moving on the planes now, that would initially be the place that they would start the pilot program to say, federal buildings, federal properties, you have to be vaccinated. Or you have to do, like you said, you have to be tested within a certain period of time. We're always behind in a lot of stuff. And I think that's why the numbers keep fluctuating, because we're moving, like you said, and there isn't any governance over it. As to what should be happening.
Yeah, I posted something on my page today because I was listening to the news, and I want to read verbatim what I posted because it's important. Was
that MSNBC News?
No, it wasn't MSNBC News. Sorry, guys. But what I posted was, let's see if I can locate it. It said, at this point, there have been more than 167 million vaccines given in America. 167 million. It says, a review of all available clinical information, including death certificates, autopsy reports, and medical records, reveal absolutely no evidence that vaccinations contribute to patient deaths. So, that's for all the conspiracy theorists. And that's for all of the people.
Go back. It says it shows the evidence that doesn't do what now?
So out of 167 million plus vaccines that have been given out. And yesterday, a record 4 million in one day. But 167 plus million have been given out. It says a review of all available clinical information, including death certificates, autopsy reports, and medical records, reveal that there's absolutely no evidence that vaccinations contribute to patient deaths. So for these sporadic posts that people put up, oh, this person got a vaccine and they died. Oh, this person got a vaccine and they died. Right? We keep saying, Diane, on the show that I could drive my car today and die tomorrow. It doesn't mean that me driving my car today was the reason I died tomorrow, right? It's just a course of nature, right? That I died. But, and so it is just coincidental, right? That somebody got on the number 25 bus downtown and then they died. You can't contribute their death to the fact that they got on the number 25 bus. And the same coincidence happens. Somebody eats an orange today and they die tomorrow. Nobody's looking and saying, oh my God, we got to stop eating oranges because somebody ate an orange yesterday and they died today. So yeah, there are going to be people out of the enormous number of people, 167 plus million. There's going to be somebody who gets a vaccine and dies the next day or a day later. But it's not contributed to the vaccine. There's zero evidence. See, and so here, unlike Hawaii, Deidre, where folks are concerned communally about one another, right? They're concerned about their families and they're concerned about their communities. And so people are not just vaccinating and following the science to protect themselves, but they understand that if they don't do it, they could be a ticking time bomb that's set off within their community, right? And they could kill other people. Here, we are so effing selfish, right? That it is about me and not about us. So now I'm off my soapbox.
I think, I had posted this yesterday on my Facebook feed, Eric, that someone sent a PSA with, and I'm going to mess up his name. Is it Kamal Bell? Did you see that PSA?
I did not.
Okay, well, it's essentially, he's interviewing about 6 black doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And the level of PSA announcements, like the level of public service announcements, particularly in the black community, to get this vaccine is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I'm still, Eric, yesterday, people aren't getting the vaccine.
In Newark, fewer than 3% have been vaccinated in Newark. It is crazy. You know, and then yesterday, and I love him, the brother Amir who listens to the show, but he came into the feed and said, Eric, please don't get vaccinated. And I'm like, no. I got my first shot and I'm due to get my second one tomorrow. Right? And so when you have people who don't have information, right? They're not following information. They're following conspiracy theorists down these rabbit holes. That's all they're doing. Because I'm telling you, 167 million vaccines. Deal with that number, guys. 167 million.
Well, people are dying. People are still dying, in particular in the black community. And our folks, unfortunately, are so stubborn that and this is not poor folks, Eric. These aren't poor folks. These are well-to-do.
Yeah.
As well, that are saying the same exact thing. Oh, it was rushed. Oh, I don't trust it. Oh, this. Oh, that. So these are not just people that don't have the means.
You know what?
They have the means. And now, you know, travel is a luxury. And now, because they might not be able to travel this summer, they might all of a sudden say, let me get the vaccine because I want to go to you know, Dubai or Africa this summer.
But here are 2 things to that, right? So Diane and I were talking earlier about and Diane. So now if we listen to this, right, and we talk about these people who are not getting it, Diane and I were talking about somebody she referenced in a conversation she and I were having this morning, who's an immigrant who came here and saw opportunities and was able to benefit. And so then the question is always, well, then blacks who are here who have access to the same opportunities, why don't they see them as opportunities, right? And I said to Diane, you know, inputs and outcomes, right? So what is put into us that makes us up, and then we see these things and we don't necessarily see them as opportunities. And so the same thing here, right? So you've got affluent black people or non-affluent black people because of the inputs over generations, right? We don't see the vaccine as an opportunity. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so, but that's one thing, and Diane, you and I are going to get into that a little bit later. But the second part of this thing, with them seeing travel as a luxury, I read today that you have people who are now giving out these counterfeit vaccine cards. That's in the black market now. You can buy these counterfeit vaccine cards that say you've been vaccinated. And so I say to the people,
that's why they need a national registry, because that's ridiculous.
Right, but I say to all of the people who are doing that,
just like they can look up your passport and make sure it's fake, or the same thing they can scan. You know how you ever go to like back when we used to go to the club, right? And they would scan the back of your driver's license,
right?
And it can immediately pop up. And if it was, I guess I'm sure there's some good fake driver's licenses, but I think that little barcode on the back of your driver's license is pretty darn hard to duplicate.
Right.
And so I think that's what's going to happen for those folks that think they got a workaround by getting a fake vaccination card. In the short term, like I have to go to the doctor tomorrow, and she called me today, and she said, "Oh, where were you?" And I told her, I said, no, I got my vaccination card. And she said, well, make sure you bring it before you're seeing the doctor tomorrow. Because now they don't even want you to see the doctor until I get 10 days quarantine, which used to be the case.
Right.
Now, because CDC passed a law that says that if you have your vaccination, you don't need to quarantine. So I think it's going to be slowly but surely. There's going to have to be, there's still going to be a trust factor. I can't say your doctor will look it up in the system, but maybe they will. I don't know. But it's got to be something that's federally done so that folks are not doing that, and to be quite honest, it's quite selfish of them.
Yeah. So for instance, and then we're gonna get into the job stuff. So if somebody didn't get vaccinated, and so they were working, and they were gonna go to take a trip to Hawaii, they would have to come back and quarantine for 10 days. So they would have to extend that time from work, right? So their vacation now would have to include the time that they were going to travel and stay in Hawaii, and then the 10 additional days once they got back to quarantine before they went back.
Florida is still like that because Florida was off the chain. New Jersey said when you come back over to New Jersey, you need to quarantine because Florida's numbers were so high. So when I went to Florida last month, that's what I had to do. I worked from home for those 10 days. But I think that's still the case.
Wow.
This new thing just passed with you showing your vaccination, full vaccination, which is 2 times, in some instances, unless you get the one and done, where you have to quarantine for 10 days and then show a negative test before you can come back to work. So that's, as far as I know, that's still happening. I had a staff member here that just came back from spring break in Florida about a week ago, and we made her do the same thing, the 10-day quarantine, as well as show her negative results before she came back to work. Because we don't want to be, even though we're practicing social distancing, we're wearing masks in our office. You just want to be as cautious as you can because I don't want to infect the other members of my team that are here.
Well, I mentioned to Diane, I'm not going to mention the individual's name because I didn't get permission to do that. But I delivered cobbler to him a couple of weeks ago because he was home sick, recovering, right? He has an office and he has a staff there, workers, and all of them were practicing social distancing, Deidre, and he had the conversation with them about, being responsible, right? What you do outside of the office in order to protect the people inside of the office. And there was one worker there who, had gone out. She had some friends coming from California, so she went out to dinner with them. And one of the other policies that he instituted at his job, he said, listen, if for any reason you don't feel well, just say you don't feel well and don't come into the office, right? So this woman didn't feel well, but she attributed it to allergies. So she came into the office, and then some of the other workers in the office noticed her, right, and said, hey, listen, you don't look well. You should go home. And so she kept pushing back, saying, no, it's just allergies and allergies. And so they went to the supervisor in the office, and they made her leave. Well, 8 people came down with COVID, right? And this particular individual, was in a really, really bad way. And he said that he shut down the office. He had to have the entire office sterilized, and to go through all of this because you had one selfish individual, right, who said, well, it's about me and it's about what it is that I want to do. So anyway, get vaccinated, guys. Protect yourselves and protect others. So what's going on the job front, Deidre?
Wait, Eric, one quick question. Deidre, how was the plane ride? Was it packed? Was it...
Yeah, so here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This is only my second time flying in a year. I went to Miami last month. It was before spring break hoopla, but it was still crowded. Because remember, I was supposed to leave on a Thursday and you guys got snow. So I called United to change my flight to leave on Wednesday so I can beat the snow. And the woman I'm on the phone with told me it was the very last seat. And I was like, great. But because I knew it was snow, I dealt with it. So this time, it's spring break. That was the main reason I went as well. So I kind of expected it to be crowded. And we connected in Dallas going, and literally every single seat was used. And then coming home, and then we went from Dallas to Hawaii, same thing. And then coming home, we connected in Denver, same thing. Every single solitary seat was occupied.
So were you required to wear your mask the full time in the fuselage?
I'm sorry?
Are you required to wear your mask the full time while you're on the plane?
the entire time. You can't. The only thing you can do, and they're on it too. Only thing you can do is you can take it down for a second, and they explain this to you at the beginning, when you're almost like after they do the whole seatbelt oxygen mask example. They give the example that even though you have a cup of water in front of you, you cannot use it as an excuse to have your mask down for 6 hours. You have to take your sip of water, put your mask immediately on, and the pilot even says, please don't have the flight attendants constantly have to remind you, because they have other things to do. He said it in a nicer way, obviously, but it was basically like, please let's everybody be prudent and take your sip of water and put your mask immediately on. Yes, I know it's annoying. And get this, Eric and Diane, they don't even feed you on this planes. I was so glad your girl ate, because they gave you like a teeny weeny bag of pretzels and a biscotti and a daggone, do you get a drink?
I like those biscottis.
To Hawaii? Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. The entire. So thank God. I didn't want to chance it. So my children and I, and my husband, we all got food, like good food, right before we got onto the plane. Because the first flight from, LaGuardia to Dallas was only, I think, 4 hours, and we left at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not even hungry that early. But by the time I get to Dallas, it's like 10 something. So now I'm starving. And we get on that second plane, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll feed us on the second plane. No, a little pack of pretzels and a biscotti.
Hey, you know what? They don't want to, and that makes sense, because they don't want to pass any journey. They got to pick up, collect, and they don't want people to have a reason, like you said, to have your mask off. That's interesting. Now, Deidre, did you tell Eric the surprise that you did in between? You got to tell that the best part.
Yeah, so Eric, my kids they thought we were going to Florida. And this was kind of the running joke that my husband and I had, because my son, I guess maybe he remembers, I've been to Hawaii 3 times. I've been to the Big Island of Maui and Oahu, all for incentive trips. So I was never able to bring the family. It's just me. And so my son must have heard me over the years talk about how fantastic Hawaii is. And then, all the commercials come on TV. So he's been asking to go to Hawaii for about 5 years. And so now everything aligned, because I've been looking. Hawaii, one of the things about Hawaii, is very expensive. But because of COVID, it is literally on sale. So if anyone wants to go, it's still on sale. My sister's going in September, another friend's going in December, another friend's going in October. It is more than half price.
Oh, wow.
And so I told my husband, I said, why don't we just tell them when we get to the airport? Because somebody's going to blow it. When you check in, they want to see your paperwork. I said, somebody's going to blow it. He says, no, let's try to wait till we get to Dallas. So we did. We get to Dallas. Right before we land, the flight attendant says, hey, I saw that a lot of you on this plane, you're going to Hawaii. She says, I'm very jealous. Have a good time. Me and my husband look at each other like, oh, the gig is up. But my kids were sitting next to us. They had no idea. They had headphones on. So we get all the way to the gate of leaving on the next plane. And then I pull out, I had 2 bags for them, and one bag had a Hawaiian grass skirt, and another bag had those faux leis. Because at one point for Halloween, I was a Hawaiian woman. Mm-hmm. So I put in both bags, I gave one each, and I said, guys, changing plans, not going to Florida. If you guys work together, you'll figure out where we're going. And my son opened his bag, and his facial expression was everything. Because he looked it up, and he had the leis. And he looked at the leis, and he just started flipping out. My daughter, she looked at the skirt, and I don't think she got it. Uh-huh. But then she didn't know what it was. It was just a ball of grass stuff to her. She looked at my sons with all these leis, and they knew it immediately. So it was so wonderful, because we just love to have surprises like this for our children. We did this before for my daughter's birthday years ago. We did a cruise, and they didn't find out until we literally got on the cruise.
Wow. Nice.
So, Deidre, that was a wonderful story, but I must say, I was watching The Housewives of Atlanta. I hate myself. Watching The Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm bringing this up. They had a Halloween party, the ladies, and Kenya Moore came dressed as an Indian. And at the time, there was no problem, but flashback, people started to look at, now, because they had filmed it some time ago, and then now they're showing it, that is socially inappropriate to dress as another person or culture.
Well,
Well, what they said was
I didn't put any stuff on my face.
right.
I just put a skirt and lace on. Why would that be inappropriate?
I'm just saying that's what they said. I'm telling you what they said on the housewives.
Well, let's think about this.
Wait a minute. Well, she wasn't. She was dressing like the. Well, no. She was still Deidre. She was just dressing according to the way they dress in Hawaii, right? It's kind of like when I had some friends who are Indian, not Native American, but Indian.
Right.
And I went to the wedding, right? And I ordered the actual Indian, I don't know what it's called, but the pants and the top piece, right? I wasn't trying to be Indian, right? I was just acknowledging the culture and dressing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that that's inappropriate?
Yep, that's what they were saying, and it was a whole.
So then, wait a minute. So then, Indians who come here.
Because I also thought that was a stretch.
So then, wait a minute.
I also saw how it could be a problem. I
So,
don't know.
so Diane, so Indians who come here, not Native Americans, but Indians from India who come here and put on a Brooks Brothers suit, is that inappropriate?
Well, I don't know if a Brooks Brothers suit is affiliated with a particular racial.
No, it's cultural.
Really?
Yes, it's cultural attire.
All over the country, so I'm not quite sure if that was fit. They're not saying that I'm wearing a suit because I'm not pretending, but I'm portraying myself.
You know what? I'm gonna ask you another question because this is something I actually observed in Hawaii. Because I tell my husband it's the love and peace people are there from California.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you might know what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw quite a few white people with locks
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in their hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what do you think about that?
I'm on both sides. I don't know how to. I don't know. I would have to talk to a Rastafarian to see if that's inappropriate to them. And I think that's what it is. It's you have to go back to that particular person and their culture and their situation and say, is this inappropriate?
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
I can't judge because that's not who I am. I can only say, okay, I have to be more conscious because maybe it is inappropriate, even though I may not come out to portray or something like that because think about it. There were Halloween costumes with Rastafarians. I mean, we've done all kinds of stuff, but I don't know. But I'll tell you this, if somebody came out in blackface, there would be a problem.
Well, that's different. I think the blackface is not related. I think that's a very, very different conversation.
It isn't different. They used it to portray us. So now we're dressing up to portray
No, but it's different, right? Because a Rastafari...
I'm changing my skin tone.
Right.
So if I'm calling myself Hawaiian, I don't even put on makeup to show my face looks any different. I just have on a lace and a skirt, and I might wear those little cute tops that the hula ladies wear. But I don't do anything different to change my skin tone.
Right. No, absolutely. So I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. That would offend me. So I don't know what would offend a Rastafarian or us changing our dialect to sound like them. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just individual communities that have to be the ones to push back and say that's culturally inappropriate.
So in that case, then, let me just push back a little bit on that.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, let's say someone asks you, Diane, how you feel about that. So now you, Diane, speak for all black people?
No, I don't. But no, however, I do know that has been a symbolism to be derogatory for our community. That I do know. Okay. What I don't know is what's considered derogatory in their community.
So the same exact example. So if I wear this Hawaiian outfit and I check with one Hawaiian person and I say, hey, does this bother you? Does that person now speak for all Hawaiians?
No, but I think they know their culture and they can speak for as a whole as to what has been shown in their culture as being derogatory. I mean, think about it. When
that's a good point.
When we were younger,
that's a good point.
Right,
when we were younger, cowboys and Indians was the thing.
Yeah.
We now know that's inappropriate.
Right, but I think you're mixing apples and oranges, right? So, for instance, Rasta or a Rastafarian or Rastafari, it's a religion, right? So we're talking culture and we're talking something else, right? So Rastafari believe in Ra. They believe that in the spirit that resides within everybody, right? And so it's not, and it's universal. So it's not applied to a white person, an Asian person, or a Jamaican. It is a religious belief. And so somebody who is Caucasian who adopts that, right, who says that they consider themselves to be a Rastafarian, or that they want to align themselves visually to it, I don't think that that's the same as blackface, right? Because blackface says I'm a white person.
It isn't a religion and beliefs. I'm talking about the appearance.
No. But I'm saying the appearance, right?
Where you go, but I'm talking about how you show up. How you show up. That's it.
No, but I'm saying the appearance. Yeah, I think the offense in blackface, like I don't even, so because I guess because this is where I would go with that, right? So you've got Americans, black Americans, who wear kente cloth, right? Which, so are they pretending to be Africans because they're Americans? They're black Americans, right? And so
they're pretending to be Africans because we were taken from Africa. I think that's a little stretch.
Why?
I think if we're in the kente cloth, a lot of it is actually Dutch, so there's a little difference with that too. But I don't think we're pretending to be Africans.
No, those people who showed up to see Black Panther,
trying to connect with our native country. I think that's where the connection comes. I don't think it's anything different than that. But that's my opinion.
Right.
I haven't seen people wear kente cloth and walk and say, "Oh, I'm this and I'm that." From that, and no, I haven't seen that.
No, I disagree. I think that all those people who showed up to the Black Panther movie, right, to identify with fictitious Wakanda, right, they and impose with that thing, they were identifying.
They were identifying, right, and trying to connect with their culture, which is where we came from, of Africa. They're not pretending to be something else because they could never pretend to be an African because, for one, we have already lost our language and everything that comes with the continent when we got here. So I think it's a reconnection when it comes to Black Americans. But that's my opinion. I don't know, everybody see it differently.
Yeah, I think that the blackface is bad. I think that I think that identifying with you go to different places, right? You celebrate their culture. So I think that the lei and the grass skirt is a celebration of the culture, right?
Because otherwise, if it wasn't, they wouldn't be selling it to you.
Well. They sell stuff just to sell it.
Yeah, this is true.
And they sell stuff, that.
So now we spend an hour on everything else. What's going on? What's going on in the employment world? Because the one thing I was telling Eric earlier was that I was listening to business podcast, and they were saying that the unemployment rate for Black Americans has not changed. It's still at, what did I say, 9%? 9%,
like yeah.
And that other nationalities was at 6%. So theirs were decreasing where ours was staying steady. So what's happening? You got jobs?
Only do I have jobs, so I'm a little bit out of pocket. So as I talk about my job, after I get my quick little tips, I'll be looking at them for the first time because I actually had a funeral yesterday. So I am literally the first time in my office in over a week. So I'm a little out of pocket myself, but my staff has been holding it down.
Nice.
And we've been very, very busy. And I've seen a couple emails flying over, even when I was in Hawaii with my 6-hour time difference. So that was we've been very, very busy. We have 2 pages of jobs. So you want me to start with the jobs? Or you want me to start with my tips? What do you want me to do?
Tips.
Okay. So one of my tips today is, and it's a quick one. is three keys to a great pre-screen phone call. So pre-screen phone call is typically someone's going to call you to talk about you. And it's typically not the hiring manager. It might just be someone that's pre-screening, just to make sure you live in the area, you have the qualifications for the job, maybe you're in the pay range that the position is paying. You know, a couple of hosts, really key things they want to get across in that phone call until you get to the next phone call, which still may be just that, a phone call. And so there's three things you want to keep in mind for this pre-screen. You want to, and this is the key one, guys, you want to answer your phone and check your email. Now, I know you're going to say this is annoying because you, like I, get a ton of crap phone calls selling you insurance, Medicare, wheelchairs, you name it. Hey, that they all assume.
I'm offended. I don't do insurance calls.
You so stupid. They're typically robocalls. But if you are in the market for a job, unfortunately, you need to answer every single phone call, because that phone call may be that employer calling you because you don't recognize the number because you don't have it programmed into your phone.
Right.
So the same thing with email. Yes, we get a ton of junk mail. I do as well. But a hiring manager might want to set up a screening call with you, and they might email you first. So you need to make sure you're checking both of those on a regular basis. Looking for a job is a job, and it requires you to pay attention to those key things. Your phone call and your email constantly. Don't just put it to voicemail, because then you don't want to have, let's say it goes to voicemail. Now, if you're not available, that's something different. But if you're completely ignoring it because you're like, I don't know this number, and now a hiring manager has to leave you a message. Now you have to try to find that hiring manager. You might have to go through a receptionist who then transfers you to their number, and then you get their voicemail. So try to just answer the phone call, because a lot of times that pre-screen might just be a quick 5-minute. They want to see if you fit the qualifications for a job. The second thing, go ahead.
Before you go to the second thing, so I have a question with that, Deidre.
Yeah.
What are some things that you should write down and be prepared with, whether you put it in your notes in your phone or keep it by the phone when people call in regards to a job, like when they ask you to talk about yourself, because it's very hard for many people to talk about themselves. What are some things that they should always be prepared to talk about?
So that's number 3, Diane. So I'll skip right to that.
Oh, wow.
That's okay. So you want to talk about, why are you looking for this new role? What interests you in this opportunity? How many years of industry experience do you have? Are you legally able to work in the United States? Would you be able to start immediately? What are the hours you're available to work? What languages are you fluent in? And maybe, are you proficient in Microsoft Office? So these kind of key things, those are typical pre-screening kind of questions that an employer might ask you, just so you can get past from that screener to the next screener, if you will. So you just want to be conscious and ready and doing a little bit of research on the company, because they can call you at any time. And I know, remember, Eric, we talked months ago about how you put out, so many resumes, you want to see which one sticks.
Sure.
Well, if you're all over the place, unfortunately, you might say, what position is this? What job? What company? And now you look like you're just kind of like throwing your resume all over the place, and you're not really specific to a type of company or industry or skill set that you would qualify for. But if you have a general idea, if you're applying for the same kind of position, when that company calls you, you should easily be able to answer basic screening questions in terms of, why are you interested in this role, or why are you looking to leave your past employer, or whatnot. So those are key things. And you want to try to keep your answers really brief. I know you say, well, it's an interview. Well, it kind of is, but it isn't, right? It's a screening, and it is an interview, but you don't want to keep going on and on and on and on and on for 10 minutes about your answer. Try to keep it as quick as possible. If the person has a question, they'll ask you as a follow-up question, and then you'll get a chance to elaborate more if they feel like they didn't get enough out of that answer. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to get into answering in a really, really long-winded way, because you're trying to really sell them, and I get that. You want to definitely sell yourself, but you also want to be cognizant that this is not necessarily the full-fledged interview. This is sort of the beginning parts of an interview.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Diane?
Yes, it does.
Wonderful. And then the third tip tip number 3 is this is not the time to ask for questions. Believe it or not, you may say, well, should I just talk about, the hours, the position, who am I supporting, all kinds of things like that. Is this the time to do that? Maybe, maybe not. I think that this may be a time for you to talk about you and why you're qualified for the job, not necessarily those drill down questions that I think are important, and they're important to get answers for, but they're important to get answers for at a full-fledged interview, because sometimes this screener might just be, hi, this is Deidre from Express Employment. Do you have a minute? I know you applied for X, Y, and Z job, and I just have a couple of questions to ask you.
Sure.
And it may not be that full-fledged interview at that moment, because honestly, an employer should set up a specific time and a specific date for your interview, even if it's phone interview or video conference or in person, so that everyone's prepared, and it's not like you're in the subway or you're out driving your kids around and now they're asking you questions. It's not fair to you.
Right.
And if it really is not a good time, you should try to see if there's a better time that you can call that person back, or they can call you back. Don't just say it's a good time, and now that it's loud traffic outside, or dogs are barking, or your kid is screaming at you, then that's not a good time, because you're going to be frazzled.
But how do you do that? And I understand exactly what you're saying, because that's not because when they called you, they did not, it wasn't a scheduled call, right? So presumably you're going about your normal day. But at the same time, I could understand the anxiety that the job seeker might have in wanting to ensure that the person calling sees that they see them as a priority, right? So how do you balance that that call to make sure that the person on the other end isn't feeling as though you're just kind of putting them to the side?
Yeah, so obviously every circumstance is different. If you're standing there and your child is screaming, not a good time. But if you're with your dog and you're with someone and they could take your dog and you can wave to them to say, can you take the dog? And you tell the person, can you hold on for a quick second, put them on mute, and tell someone, can you please take the dog and go into a quiet area? If you can do that within 30 seconds or less, then I would say try to not have that person call you back as best you can. But you have to be realistic with yourself, because I've had scenarios where people will say, oh, it's a good time, and you can hear all kinds of chaos going on in the background. And I'm like, ooh, are you sure it's a good time?
Yeah.
So just be cognizant that the person can, if you can hear what's happening in your environment, then more than likely I can hear it as well.
Right.
So just be conscious of that with the person. And then obviously things happen. I've been on the phone with someone and they think it's a good time, and next you know, an ambulance goes by. Well, you can't do anything about that, right? You just might say, oh my goodness, can you wait a second? The ambulance is going by, right? And so those things are going to happen in life. But if you can try to get to a quiet area, even if in your car, and close the door, it might be muffled a little bit more. But just try to do it the best you can. But if it truly is not a good time, just let the person know, is there a better time? This is really not a good time right now. And is it possible I can call you back in 15 minutes or, an hour, or I'm at the doctor's office and they're about to call my name. So can I call you back when I'm out of the doctor's office, right? Everyone understands that they are calling you on the fly, so they don't expect you to drop everything unless you really can drop everything.
And I think what buffers that too is to let them know that you appreciate them calling, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you can try to in a quick way, oh yes, I do recall applying for that position, and I'm very interested in talking further about why I think I'd be the best person for the job. However, right now this is happening in my life, right? I'm on the bus, I'm in the car, I'm at the doctor's, whatever it is. Make it super quick. Is it possible we can schedule this for in 2 hours? And should I call you back, or would you like to call me back?
Right.
So those are my 3 tips for your phone screen.
And I want to just add the one thing, because you said this, that in a call, you were thinking, is it really a good time? And I think that even if you thought it was a good time, if the screener says that to you, are you sure this is a good time? That might be your cue to bow out and say, you know what, actually it really isn't, right? So even if you thought that it might have been, if they're bringing it to your attention, that they see that it might not be, or they're questioning it, maybe you should take that cue card and try to reschedule it.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
So what jobs do you have?
So let's see here. I've got lots of jobs. 26 of them to be.
Oh my
exact.
gosh.
Yeah, some might be repeaters. I'm gonna start with the ones that aren't repeaters. That just got put up. Today the 6th. Yep, just got put up yesterday or today.
But the repeaters are ones that people who listen to this show haven't helped us fill yet. So come on, guys.
I know. And then sometimes they're hard to fill jobs, to be honest with you.
Okay.
You know, like I have a couple of my professional jobs, they aren't even part of this 26. I had my own separate spreadsheet because my staff was getting frustrated because those are jobs that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
So I knows about 10 jobs. Remember I talked about all those, if you're a banking and finance kind of experience and
Right.
compliance, and even if you want to work from home, I have a lot of contract roles open right now. Minimum starting hourly rate is at $35 an hour and up. And so if you have that kind of experience, please send me a resume because I have 10 or so jobs that should be on my website, but they might have rolled off. And like I said, I've been on vacation, so I'm just getting my sea legs back to make sure that everything's up to date. But these ones I'm mentioning to you today should be on our website because they just came in yesterday or today. So we always look for general warehouse workers. We have 5 openings for that in Kearney right now. So if you'd like to do that kind of work. We actually have a forklift cherry picker. I overheard her right before I came in here. It's not up yet, but I overheard her say we had like 4 openings for forklift positions in Kearney. So this must be the kind of a similar company. This particular client is actually requiring that you show a negative COVID test prior to starting as well. We have quite a few clients that are requiring that now. We have a greeter at one of our greeter at one of our car rental companies at the Newark Airport. If you'd like to do that, that's an 8 to 4, Thursday through Sunday. Interesting. Off Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's an interesting schedule.
Huh.
We have a bookkeeper position open. That is I think that's in Jersey City. General warehouse, 12 to 8 shift. That's in Jersey City / Bayonne. Some people like that shift because you get a chance to sleep late a little bit.
Right.
We have an inventory clerk position. This one came in. This one came in right before I went on vacation, and this must be a second person. It's inventory clerk. That's an office person. You're working in a warehouse, but it's an office role, and so you'll be just taking inventory of their products. So counting and that kind of thing, but not necessarily lifting anything. You're just counting the products. We got a restaurant dishwasher. Okay, dishwasher at a restaurant here in Jersey City. We have a shipping clerk opening. That one is in Newark, so you need to have experience shipping clerk. It's right not far off of kind of the main drag. We got a secret shopper. That's interesting. We need 3. We need 3 of those.
Wait a minute. What are the hours?
Like I said, I'm looking at these for the first time.
Wait, Deidre, what are the hours? Wait a minute. I'll refer Diane, and Diane will refer me, and we get to $25. What's the secret? What is the secret? Wait. What is required in the secret shopper job?
Exactly. What
Let's see here. So this is a snack food company is looking for market execution surveys, parentheses, secret shopper. Survey several stores in New Jersey, Jersey City, Newark, Elizabeth, and Patterson, and in New York City, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, and Brooklyn. This is a 6-month special project that entails the following. They go into small multi-chain stores and act as the eyes and ears and do audit and then report it to senior management.
Ooh, that's perfect.
Ooh.
So
What are the hours for that?
You need to have a mobile phone because you have to, with internet, because you have to submit these reports on a daily basis. You must have a reliable car because it sounds like you're going to be traveling to all the boroughs as well as Jersey City, Newark, Elizabeth, and Patterson for the next 6 months. We have 3 openings for that, and it pays $18 an hour.
Wow.
It says here it's Monday to Friday, but the flexible hours are based on your availability.
Oh, wow.
So I guess you can set your own time because you're a secret shopper. So if you can only go at night, obviously if the store's open.
Right.
So I haven't even really looked at this. It just came in on the 31st. It says the start date of yesterday, so I think they're having some problems filling this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Now is that full time? That's part time because
it's a 6-month contract position.
Oh, okay, 6-month contract. And I guess you got to do so many audits per week or whatever and hit them so many times. Okay.
Probably. So that's pretty interesting because it sounds like it's for a big you probably are going. It says a snack food company, so I don't know who that is.
Ooh,
Or
so
I probably can't say.
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
don't say.
so you're representing that snack food company when you go into these different stores, and they probably want to see how their product is displayed. You know, maybe the knowledge of the people that work there and the lighting and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that their product looks the best. Maybe the pricing is on there correctly, the sales price is on there, the coupon. You know, some of them have those little pop out coupons sitting there on different things. So back in the day, I did a couple of secret shoppers in my 20s at Burger King's. That was fun.
Now you know what? Does that mean that? Now this one is checking products and stuff, but you were talking about the one that you did back in college. Does that mean you have to spend your own money and then they reimburse? Like, how does that?
Correct. That's exactly it. You spend your own money, you save the receipt, because they're doing a couple of things. When I was a secret shopper, they're doing a few things. They're checking to make sure they're ringing it up properly. Mm-hmm. You have to discuss it. You know, you have to do a survey on how the person greeted you.
Right.
Did they upsell different things to you? Mm-hmm. Was the receipt correct? Did they give you back the correct change? You know, one time it was the drive-through, and so how was the drive-through experience versus the regular? The interesting thing that I like about that secret shop is at the end, I had to ask for the manager, and then the manager, I had to tell them that they've been secretly shopped.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like later you send a report. I mean, later I had to send a report, right, per se, but I would tell them right away, and the guy would say, oh, how did we do? And I would say, oh, you did okay, you don't see it in my report.
Wow.
You say toodles.
Yeah, because you get rated on they tell you to rate all those different things, including the taste of the food.
Wow.
As well, and the hot, if it's hot or was it served cold, you know, how were the drinks, like pretty much everything. You could think of anything with a secret shopper. You know, even Express, my franchisor secretly shops us, and we get a report, and we don't know when it's happening. We just know it's going to happen.
Wow.
So we've been secretly shopped at least 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, we get an entire report. And they save everything, too, the entire audio. So you can play it back. And you know exactly who was secretly shopped within my staff.
That's nerve-wracking.
That is.
Well, you don't know when it's going to happen. So the first, when it did happen, interestingly enough, the woman remembered the call. And she was like, I thought it was the oddest call, because we're an employment agency, right? So we should be, you know, we don't have jobs to everyone, but if we don't have a particular job for you, I shouldn't just say, I don't have a job, sorry, right? It was all about making sure our process comes across sounding very professional. Mm-hmm. And if I told you I was going to secretly shop you sometime in April, now you're on guard the whole month of April.
Right.
So you never know when you're going to be secretly shopped. And then once it's done, I found the information highly informational for everyone, because we learned a couple things about that we're not fine-tuning our process when someone calls in looking for a job. Mm-hmm. So same thing with this restaurant. You may think that everyone's, particularly if you have turnover, that everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and sometimes they might leave out a really critical thing that you're trying to get across to that customer, or they're mean, and maybe that's not the kind of a person that needs to be in the front of the house representing the company.
Right.
And so I think a secret shopper can be pretty helpful. But we have 3 openings. If you have a car and willing to go to all those boroughs in 5 cities in Jersey and for $18 an hour, please holler at your girl.
That's great. That is fantastic.
My other page I have is some of these are kind of the same. Material handlers in Newark. That's similar to the other one. We have a warehouse worker here in Jersey City. We have a receptionist. This job is still up. I don't know what's going on with this. We have a receptionist in Newark. You need to be bilingual in Spanish. We have a supervisor in Kearney. I saw another supervisor I forgot to mention. We have a general manager position for our client in Bayonne. We have actually quite a few temporary workers there. So this general manager is actually going to be overlooking the temporary workers as well. So we have a supervisor position in Kearney. So if you have supervisor positions, this one was open before I left for vacation, and I don't know why it's still open, but it's a virtual administrative assistant for a real estate company. I don't remember where they're at, but it doesn't matter. You can live anywhere in the world and work for them. So I think they're based out of New York, though.
Okay. So
that one, I'm not sure why they're having some challenges with that filling. And then we have a chassis stacker. A chassis stacker is essentially those those people that pick up those giant tractor trailers,
Mm-hmm.
when they get deposited into the yard, a chassis stacker actually picks them up and moves them. So you have to have some forklift experience to be able to pick up a machinery of that weight. And so that's it. I'm going to check the website after I get off with you guys, because I'm going to make sure all these jobs are on here. Like I mentioned, my professional jobs are not even up here, but I do have 10 of those, and they're all over the board in terms of position. But it's kind of the similar line is that it would be someone that has finance experience, banking experience, particularly large banks, and particularly in auditing. You don't have to be an auditor, but you have to know experience with auditing and compliance of banking rules. So understanding loans, personal loans, as well as mortgage loans, understanding savings and checking accounts, because that's where they're being audited. And it's pretty big banks. And so we have quite a few openings for that particular role. So anyone you know, like I said, a lot of them are contract work. It can last anywhere from 6 months to 2 years for those roles.
That's great. All right. That's good. So, listen, I think that I think that all of the jobs are really cool, but I like the idea of the secret shopper. Like, just, I think that's really cool. So, hey, Diane, we could split that one. We just do it for fun. Just volunteer my time.
Or who's driving and who's sampling? It depends.
Oh, God. See, you always got to make it complicated, Diane. But Deirdre, the tips were fantastic tips. The jobs guys are available, and like Diane said, especially within the black community, the unemployment rate has not gone down. Come on, let's get to it. Let's get at it. And Deirdre, you also have your Express Effect.
You mean my comedy for a cause?
No. It's called the Peloton Effect, but yes.
Thank you. Oh
yes,
my God, I forgot that fast.
That's okay.
Look, she's still on vacation.
But we call it the
Yes.
Express Effect.
Yes, the Express Effect is this. We will give you $25 if you refer a friend after they work 80 hours, which is about 2 weeks, and that same friend will also get $25 once they complete working 80 hours. So therefore, it will make both of you Express ambassadors, so you can refer friends to us that are looking for work. There's no limit to the number of friends you can refer to us. So please keep the referrals going. Please make sure that they mention your name, your full name, when they come here to apply. We are still conducting virtual interviews. Mainly, we're using Zoom as our platform. But if you're not as familiar with that platform, we are also conducting phone interviews. You will still need to come into our office for appointment only, just to sign some legal documents. And in any instance, there's some clients that require drug testing. We will let you know that. There's some clients that require background check. We will let you know that if that be the case. But some of them do not. And so unless we tell you for that particular role, otherwise we do have positions that are offender friendly. So please get that cousin, that uncle, that sister, that mother that's looking for a job that may be unhappy at their current job. This is not just for unemployed people. If you're unhappy at your current job and you're looking for something else, maybe we can help you. Express is nationwide. We have offices all over the United States. Obviously, I'm selfish. I'm talking about Jersey City today.
Of course.
But our offices in Jersey City are in Jersey City, as well as all the neighboring towns around Jersey City, as well as Newark.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Deidre.
I did want to talk about my thing. Now that you mentioned it to me,
Yeah,
the comedy for a cause.
Oh yes, go.
So I also sit on.
I saw your Facebook Live. You were at one of the restaurants, right?
I was at Sweet Tea's on Sunday.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So I happened to go to Sweet Tea's. My husband and I were like, we want to do something different for brunch. We always go to the same place. So Sweet Tea's is a black-owned restaurant that just opened up in Montclair, and I happened to be talking to the woman who owns it. It's a woman-man partnership, and I was talking to her about becoming a partner. And so I jumped the ship. I don't know if she's a partner yet. I've got to follow with her today because it was Easter Sunday, so obviously she was really, really busy. But I took an opportunity to at least record myself and hope that they become a partner. But I told you guys about the 4 other restaurants that are partnering. Mm-hmm. So it's Friday, April 16th. So it's literally like next Friday. I got to really start pumping it now. From 8 to 10, it's a virtual comedy show. It's Comedy for a Cause. You're supporting Women Rising. Women Rising is an organization based here in Jersey City, but they support women and families all over the state of New Jersey. They are the largest domestic violence support service in the state of New Jersey, helping women and families get back on their feet by providing them housing and a safe space to live, as well as getting them jobs and any other social services that are required to get them self-sufficient. So we rely obviously heavily on government funding as well as our public-private partnerships, including individuals just giving a simple $35 for the Comedy for a Cause, which is next Friday. If you're not able to make it, you can still donate and just go into the website. I will put the link in the chat. We are still open for sponsorships. I did get 2 sponsors when I was away in Hawaii, guys.
Nice.
So sponsorships are still open as low as $250 up to $1,000. So if you're an individual or you're a company and you want to sponsor, sponsorships do have some perks. You'll be able to speak if you're at the $1,000 level, or your information is going to be listed on our website if you're at the $250 level. And so we have everything in between, and you're able to get tickets to the show as well with that. So the restaurant partnership is essentially that. We're allowing you to have a night in, right, with your family. This is a family-friendly comedy show, so you don't have to worry about curse words or sexual innuendos. You can, even if your children don't want to come and sit next to you, at least they might pass by you in the living room. You don't have to worry about that. So you can order from a restaurant. We have 4 so far lined up. I'm hoping Sweet Tea signs up, but if they don't, I understand. I know they've only been in business 2 months. But Bentley's in Newark is signed on. They're a partner. They're super happy and excited. I know your Grandma Emma's is sold there, so you'll be able to get Grandma Emma's, Eric's brand for peach cobbler. I know Southern Comfort, my Jack and Jill sister who owns that, is in Orange. They have fantastic food. She is also partnering, and she's also going to have ready, and she thinks she's going to allow me to taste test it this week. As a matter of fact, their peach sangria, which they have a liquor license, so they're going to be able to sell their sangria. It'll be completely bottled. So you'll be able to buy food from them as well as get some sangria from them. Okay. We also have two locations in Jersey City, Caroline's Restaurant as well as Light Rail Cafe. So if you live in Jersey City, you have 2 partners. If you live in Newark, the Oranges, you have 2 other partners. And then hopefully we get this last restaurant signed on. If not, you at least have 4 choices. And then each of these restaurants have also agreed to give a percentage of their proceeds to support Women Rising. That is their sponsorship.
So, Deidre, question. So, how does that work with a night at home with comedy and the food? Do the people place their orders with the restaurants and the restaurants deliver? Do they have to go through another, how does that work?
Correct. So, 3 of the 4 I know participate in Grubhub, Uber Eats. That's Caroline's, Light Rail, as well as Bentley's. Southern Comfort, unfortunately, you do have to pick up for them. They're pickup only. They do not participate in any of those services. So you place your order. Let's say you place it at 5 o'clock on your way home from work. So it's there by 7. You got everything all ready, and then you'll get the link for the Zoom by obviously in time for 8 o'clock show. And then that's it. It's showtime. You'll be able to sit back, have your food already there, your drinks if you like, or you can just order some just regular beverages, have a good night in. My husband and I did this in December for another organization that was raising money, and we really did feel like we went somewhere. It was fun because it's kind of engaging because you can see the other patrons, they can see you. So that's kind of fun. It made it really feel intimate, even if it was 50 people in the room. The comedian was even doing what one of the comedians, you know how you sit in the front row of a comedy show and he picks on you? He was doing that because he can see you, because everyone is encouraged to put their camera on. Okay. So for those that did, he can actually see you, and he can make fun of you if you like.
You could pay for him to clown you.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have 3 awesome comedians, which I'll put the flyer in the chat. We also have a DJ and a host. Aja Bennett. All of these comedians have been featured on either BET or at the Apollo. So they've got HBO. They've got great resumes. As you know, all through this pandemic, one of the things that have been tremendously impacted was comedy clubs, because they're small and it's very challenging to socially distance. So this is a way to get those folks exposure as well as get them some money in their pocket. And as like I said, the restaurants also have been had some issues with getting customers during this period of time, the pandemic. So this is a way to expose you to 4, potentially 5 restaurants that you may not have heard of. So now you're going to hopefully order from them this time as well as in the future. So we're super excited about this partnership with the restaurants. Again, any sponsorships that are looking just to sort of get money, we'll take it. If $1,000 is too low for you, we'll take whatever you have.
Excellent.
So, Deidre, how do people find you for jobs?
So you can go to our website at expresspros.com/Jersey City altogether. I will put that also in the feed as well. Like I said, Express has offices all over the United States. So if you listen to me, you're in South Jersey. I know we didn't have Vincent on today, but if you're in South Jersey, we have an office in Marlton. We have several offices in Philadelphia. So if you go to our website, you can see all those locations that are near you. You can even download, we have an Express Jobs app where you can actually put in your zip code. And with that zip code, it'll show you which offices are near you, and it'll show you which jobs are open in your immediate area. And you can apply right from the app. We've made it as easy as possible to find a job for us to find you. If you don't necessarily have the skills that are needed right now, have no worries. Please still submit your resume. We do keep them on file because we get all kinds of interesting jobs. As I just mentioned to you, that secret shopper, all it really requires is someone that has a phone and a cell phone.
Yeah. That's great.
Work flexible hours. They're pretty open, it sounds like, to, let's say you have a job already, you just want a second job. It sounds like they're open to that.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy the
I'll
weather.
See you next week.
You too, Deidre. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wow. It's a lot of information. We went over a lot this morning.
A ton of information. A ton of opportunities. And I hope that people pay attention to it and that they,
Share information.
Yeah, that they share the information. Just share it, guys. Just share it. You never know. You hit the share button. Somebody who's in need of a job, in need of an opportunity, they'll be able to see it. Be a blessing to somebody. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, Diane, I am
Get people off your sofa.
Huh?
Get the people off your sofa.
Yeah, some people don't want to get off the sofa, though, right?
Get those college students, graduates into some jobs if they haven't found anything in their career yet. Because that's a plus. Because you don't want to be stagnant and not have worked anywhere this entire time. Because you kind of lose your mojo when you do that.
Hey, Diane, I want to ask you a question. I started a debate yesterday, or a discussion yesterday that was going to turn into a debate, but then I had to go. So I didn't get to finish it. And we got a half an hour, so we can do this.
Okay.
The question that was posed was, and I don't know that we should limit this to men, or maybe we'll take 15 minutes and ask a question about men, and then we'll take the other 15 minutes and ask the same question about women. But the question that was posed to me yesterday is, why do men cheat?
Opportunity. The same reason women cheat. Opportunity. That's my answer. Opportunity, or there's something emotionally or something going on with them internally that they're missing and they're trying to complete themselves with. That's the only reason. I don't know. I'm not a cheater. My husband's not a cheater that I know of. So I don't know. I don't know why people cheat. But like I said, the only thing I can say is opportunity, and there's something that they're trying to fulfill for themselves, because it's never about the other person. It's about something internally with you that you feel like you're missing something. And I'm not a relationship person. I'm just going based off my experience and over my lifetime. Mm-hmm. Something missing, so you're always trying to find something to fulfill the emptiness, whatever it may be, that's going on with you that you haven't come to a grip with. I guess you would say that. Why do you think men cheat? So I can't just say men. I have to
it's got to be people, right? I don't know.
That's what we're talking about in relationships.
In relationships, yeah.
Many different things.
Yeah, in relationships. I think it begins with selfishness.
Really?
Yeah, I think because it becomes about you, right? About what I want.
Well, like I said, they're looking for something for themselves. Okay.
Right. Okay. So it's about what I want, right? Not about what's good for us, but but what's good for me. And so I think that that's, so in the discussion I was having, I said, I believe that it starts with selfishness and the inability to think outside of yourself, to think about other people, right? Because you don't have to cheat, right? You could, if you were thinking about the entire relationship and you decided you wanted something else, right? You could have that conversation. You can welcome that person that you're in this current relationship into that conversation about the fact that you're not happy and that you want something else, right? And then there would be options. Well, maybe the person is open to you having something else while still being involved in that relationship, or maybe that person says, well, then you have to dissolve this relationship and then you can go and pursue something else. But it is a conversation that would involve you and somebody else, right? And then the outcome would be a result of an understanding between you and somebody else. But the selfishness is that I'm going to make this decision by myself. Though I'm in a relationship, I'm going to make this decision by myself because it benefits me, right?
So is it so much selfishness? Does it start with selfishness, or does it start with poor communication?
No.
Because some decisions that people make are made because they are not good communicators.
No.
And they are afraid of having the conversation and what the result of the conversation may be.
Right, but still selfishness, right? Because it's about me, right? So if I'm not going to have the conversation because of how it's going to make me feel and how I am going to have to deal with this thing and how I'm going to have to do it. So all about me, right? Me. And not about the other person, because you're in a relationship, which means there's somebody else over there. Somebody else is over there. And you, for whatever the reason is, you have not engaged that other person in whatever this is that is going on with you. Right?
Well,
you've made a decision. You've decided that you're going to decide for you and that other person. Right? So if you decide that you're going to cheat, you've decided for you and your partner that you're going to bring a third person into the relationship. You made that decision.
I don't think people consciously make those decisions. Saying that the decision that they make is going to affect somebody else and this is about me. I think, and I can see where you say it could be selfish, but I think, I think it comes from an individual missing something, trying to find completion.
I'm not saying that, no. I'm not.
See it as selfishness. They see it as finding wholeness.
No, I'm not talking about how they see it. I'm talking about what it is. So even if that person is missing something, right? You're in a relationship. So if you're missing something, you have a partner. If you're missing something, if you believe or if you feel like something is missing, right? You've decided, you've made a decision, a conscious decision, not to involve your partner in talking about whatever it is you're feeling and what it may be missing. You've decided that you are going to take it upon yourself while you're in this relationship to solve it by yourself, to the point that you might wind up inviting somebody else arbitrarily to be in your relationship. You've decided all of that. Meanwhile, you've got this other person who is there, and you have ignored that person, right? You've marginalized that person. You've elevated yourself to be the arbiter of solving all of the problems. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying, Diane? You have decided like that person can't help you. You got to help yourself. You're the one who's going to get this done. You're the one who's going to figure it out.
So is that wrong?
Well, not talking right or wrong. I'm just saying selfish.
Doesn't decisions always boil down to right and wrong, moral and immoral?
Well, so again, people assign right or wrong or moral or immoral, a lot of which is based on their perception where they sit or stand in that situation. I'm simply saying that without labeling it right or wrong, moral or immoral, I'm simply saying that if you're in a relationship, what that means is that there's somebody else. Somebody else. As simple as that, right? There's somebody else. You're in a relationship, so it's you and somebody else. And you, man or woman, who makes a decision, right? Because that's what it is, a decision to go and involve somebody else in your relationship that you're having with somebody else, right? And not involving that other person, you decided. So understand, I keep saying you. That's the selfish part, right? You. You've decided to be the arbiter.
What's the cheating? What is cheating? What's the
definition of? That's a whole nother conversation. So
because so when you're saying you're involved in somebody else and it's a relationship you have with somebody and not communicate, is cheating physically, or is it cheating mentally?
So again,
considered cheating
again, right? So relationship. So I have a relationship. I have an understanding with this person, right? That they are going to be that there's a level of monogamy, right?
No, stop it. Everybody does.
But you just asked me a question, but you're not allowing me to answer the question. But you just wait a minute.
Wait. Decision to say monogamy is a part of their relationship.
No. But you asked me a question. You didn't allow me to finish my answer, right? So you said cheating, right? So when I'm in a relationship with you, and again, it depends, right? But when somebody's in a relationship with somebody, you have decided, you two have collectively decided that you're going to be the provider of these things for me, and I'm going to be the provider of these things for you. Emotionally, physically, right? And when I say monogamy, that it's one-on-one, that nobody else is involved in this, right? That it's symbiotic, you and me. Right? I'm going to care for you emotionally and spiritually and physically, and you're going to care for me emotionally and physically and spiritually. And so let's identify those three things as cups, right? So you're going to fill my cups and I'm going to fill your cups, right? We've agreed to that nobody else is going to come and fill your emotional cup. That's what I'm here for. And you're going to, right?
You have conversations with people?
What?
I'm going back to communication.
No.
I don't think that people communicate all of this that you're saying, and I can't believe that you even communicate all of this that you're saying.
No, Diane. No. But so wait, we're bouncing all over the place because you asked me a question that I was trying to answer, which is what do I consider cheating, right? So to finish my answer to your question is this: that if we look at those three things, right? Physically, emotionally, and spiritual, right? You and I in a relationship. Then those three cups, you're filling mine, I'm filling yours. At the point that I have somebody else filling any of those cups, that's cheating because it's not allowing you in our relationship to do that, right? And so what that's going to do now, because now I'm blocking you from being able to do the thing that you and I have agreed to, right? You're doing this for me, I'm doing that for you. So it's like if I start going to somebody else's house every day to have somebody else cook for me. And understand this too, right? Cheating isn't just about a man and a woman, right? You have in relationships, you'll have a guy who might lean on his best friend who's a man to fulfill some things, right? Time. You can cheat with time. So when you're not going home and you're going to your best friend's house, right? So that's where you're going instead of going home. So man or woman, right? So same thing with a woman, right? So she decides that she's good conversations, right? You decide that instead of having these conversations with him now, you're having these conversations with your girlfriend. So you're empty when it comes to talking to him. So now when he says, hey, how was your day? Well, you've already spent yourself talking to your girlfriend for 3 hours about it, right? And so now you've denied him some of this. So cheating it's a very interesting thing, right? It's not just these other things, right? You can cheat and chip away at a relationship in many, many ways and cheat with other people. Cheat with your best friends, your girlfriends, your male friends. Yeah. And all of it.
That's the fact, Eric, that we ain't going to have no more sidebar conversations.
No. But you know what? But here's the interesting thing about, let's talk about you and I. But here's the interesting thing about the two of us, right? You're involved in my relationship. Right? And I'm involved in you. So when you and I are on the phone and Warren is there, right? I say, hey, Warren. Right? Warren says, hey, Eric. Right? So it's all there. And in fact, so there are times when you come hang out at the bakery, what do I say to you? Go home. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I do, don't I? I say, go home. Right? So I think that part of the part of it is, so that's what I say cheating is, right? And I think that to not cheat in all those ways, because all those different ways, and so let's understand what cheating, how I see cheating. It's denying, right? It's cheating the other person of something, right? Cheating them of something that you said you were going to give to them. So now you're cheating them of that. Mm-hmm. Right? You see what I'm saying? So,
but see, this is what I'm saying. I think it starts with communication, because people don't have those conversations about you shouldn't be spending time or you shouldn't be doing these things because you're taking away from us. They don't normally have those conversations in that context. Usually what happens is something happens that they feel like they're missing something. And when they say, okay, you're doing too much of this, but you're not spending time with me. Or you're over here doing that, and I'm not having any time. My Google is talking to me. But I think that's where I think that's a little different. That's why I say, does it not start with the communication on expectations? That's what it is. People don't talk about their expectations of relationships. They just go into a relationship for the most part.
Well, we can have that. Yeah, so
they don't date. They do whatever they do before, and the next thing you know, he my man, that's my woman, we in a relationship, we married, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think when you say what cheating is, people may not see having conversations on a steady basis, a regular basis with somebody else as being a cheating factor. It's just, this is the person that I blow off steam with and have conversations with. I think emotionally, I don't think people look at the emotional side as being cheating. They don't see cheating until something physically is attached to it.
No, I think they do. I think they do, but I think that the ultimate, right? The ultimate is when it reaches the physical, right? But I think that cheating, that all of the things that I talk about. So again, let's define it. At least this is the way I define it. That cheating is denying something, right? So think about it in regular life. Somebody says, yo, you cheated me out of money. That means you denied them. You kept them from getting what was fair to them, right? Or you cheated me out of whatever, right? You understand what I'm getting at, right? So if you now apply that to a relationship, and when you say you cheated me, or you cheated, well, we say cheated on me, right? But you cheated that person, right? You're cheating in the relationship because you're denying the person access to what they believe they're entitled to, right? Whatever that time, emotion, right? All of these things. And now when there's somebody else involved or something else, because you can cheat, Diane, not only with another person, but you can cheat with other things. You see, when you start replacing stuff in a relationship, right? So you talked about this, so you're missing something, right? So you say, well, I'm going to fill this thing over here. I'm going to fill it with this thing. I'm not getting it over here, so I'm going to fill it. Whether you fill it with TV watching, or you fill it with gardening, or you fill it with whatever else, right? You're cheating because, and understand this, that person who you're in a relationship with, they're getting further from you, right? Because you're filling space not with them, right? Wow. You're filling it with other things. So
interesting. Put it that way. Not necessarily with other people, but with filling your time and spending time on other things outside of doing it as a couple in a relationship.
yes, you can cheat in a relationship by spending more time in your office, right? So now the culprit becomes your job, huh?
So are you telling me now I need to work less, or are you telling me now that my solitude time of me working in the garden, now I got to share that with my husband?
No. If you are see, this is what I'm saying. So if you did the gardening because of something lacking there, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So no, if it was just something to fulfill just you, right? Because you could do these things and it could be benign, or it could be, you know what, he doesn't spend time with me, and so I'm gonna go do this thing. Oof.
So
See?
how do you know what's the difference between balancing in a relationship and cheating in a relationship as you're describing now, when you're finding other things to fulfill your time instead of spending time with your significant other? How do you find balance?
Well, again, it starts with communication, right? If you're pulling something from that person, if you're denying them, so because you're in a relationship, and so you're not the arbiter of determining, right? It is a collective, and so through that conversation, you can figure those things out, right? So if you let's use your gardening. So if you spending time in the garden, right, is taking time away over here, right? Now you're creating an imbalance, right? And you're cheating that person of this time. So just asking that question, hey, I'm going to go out and garden. Are you okay with that? See, do you understand what I'm saying? See, right? Just that. But if you just say, I'm going to go garden, right? Okay. Because what happens is we then start cheating on each other, right? So I might, because now communication breaks down, all these other things break down. So you go garden, then I go, well, she's going to go garden. I'm going to go do this. Oh, well, he's over there doing that, so now I'm going to go do this. And so, see the gap growing wider, right?
I'm a cheater and I don't even know it.
That's right. So you got more things now, right? And so, yeah, it's not always, and then ultimately, because I think that these are all cancers in relationships, right? And they metastasize, and so they grow, and then ultimately, you're in this relationship, but you're so far apart, right? The communication now, all these other kinds of things. And so you're so far apart that now you may be vulnerable. And I shouldn't even use the term vulnerable, because vulnerable kind of implies that you're not responsible, right? But you may have created such an environment, right? That allows then for you to say, because you got to be responsible, right? For you to say, well, I'm going to now do this thing, right?
Wow.
Call it go.
All right. Trying to pose the question fairly. Good morning, Diane. Do you think that every time someone cheats, they are wrong? So I'm trying to. All right. So what if in a relationship, woman or man, we won't even put a gender on it, right? Doesn't take care of themselves, doesn't take care of their health, doesn't work, issues, mental, whatever you want to call it, right? And this other person is saying, I need this out of this relationship. All right, I said to a girlfriend one day, I said, listen, you have to meet him. I said, because in a minute, right, you're going to become boring. You're not working a job. Every time you get a job, you're not able to keep a job. You're not able to maintain that job. You're laying in the bed all day. That's boring. You have nothing to talk about. So when it's that kind of instance, is that person wrong for living in this frustrated bubble and then deciding that I've got to escape? And is that cheating?
No. But here's the thing, right? So sometimes you're just not compatible, right? And if you're not compatible through the conversation, you just move on, right? But if you're in the relationship, right? And sometimes the relationships just don't work, and you go, hey, look, this isn't working for me. It's not working for me either. And then, you can't fit a square peg into a round hole, right? And that's it. And so sometimes we try to do that. And understand this too. That's selfish too, right? Because we look and go, I want this. So I'm going to try to pound this square peg into this round hole, right? So both of us being unselfish and being in a relationship, right? And wanting not only the best for us, but the best for the person that we're in a relationship with. We look and go, you know what, this isn't working, right? But if you're trying to, if you are in the relationship and you're communicating and you're considerate of that person being the person who you give the first opportunity to fill those cups, if you will, right? That person may say, like you say, hey, listen, you want to go to movies with me, right? So you give them the opportunity to fill the cup. Person says, no, go to the movie, enjoy yourself, right? Now you gave them the opportunity to fill the cup, and so now when you go with your girlfriend to the movie, you're not cheating, right? Because that you're not taking you're not denying that person anything. You understand what I'm saying? So it's it's an ebb and flow, right? It is the dance that two unselfish people have when they're in a relationship.
Got you. Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Well, 4 minutes left, Eric. I have a big announcement for everyone.
What is your announcement, Miss Diane?
Are you ready for it, Eric, or should I wait? Do I get a drum roll and all of that or anything?
I don't have a drum roll queued up on the. Wait a minute. Here we go. Wait. I can. Hold on. I'm gonna. Here's my sound effects. Ready?
Go.
Oh, wait a minute. I had it.
That's real cute. But okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
There you go.
So for those who don't know and might not have heard through the grapevine or seen an article that are in New Jersey in the New Jersey Insider or NJ Globe or any of the other local newspapers, I am now running for New Jersey Assemblywoman in my district, which covers Hillside, Union, Elizabeth, and Roselle. And I'm running with Jamel Holly. He's running for Senate, and my campaign partner who's running for the other seat and for the legislative district is Christian Belize. So that's my big news, and I'm excited to be running and throw my hat back into the race of the election to get some stuff done in our state.
All right, so we're gonna rewind this, right? Gosh, see, so we're gonna rewind this because there are a lot of things that you missed, right? Mm-hmm. One is that sure you are running, but you are running as a Black woman, right? Seeking to make history, right? As the first Black woman, right? So now I'm gonna let you. So I'm gonna let you start. I'm gonna let you start that all over again, so that you don't because if you don't love yourself enough.
Oh, stop.
Right? No.
Because I super duper love myself.
No, but I'm going to tell you, you give permission to other people to marginalize you.
Well, I will not allow anybody to
There we go.
marginalize me.
So-
You know, with my mouth and my voice, I am a fighter. Always have been, always will be. When elected, I will be the first African American woman to ever hold this seat that will represent Union, Elizabeth, Hillside, and Roselle. And I will be the second person to represent Hillside since 1974. So it is a big deal. We are looking to make history, and Jamel Holly will be the first Black man to represent our town as the senator. And we are all Democrats, and we're running off the line because there are changes that have to come in our community, and people have sat in positions and have not I won't say catered, but they have not paid attention to people who need the help the most. So I'm the voice for those people because I understand what needs to be done, how it needs to get done, because I have experience. I'm a former councilwoman from the township of Hillside, and politics and community service has been in my blood since I was born. So I'm here to get stuff done because I'm a problem solver. Is that better, Eric?
That's better. That's better. All right, but listen. You know where I stand. I am all about making sure that first and foremost, Black people are represented, that Black people's issues are focused on, because as you indicated in terms of even the jobless numbers, right, the unemployment numbers, that we're at the bottom, right? And so I'm not surprised that we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom because we don't have Black faces with Black voices that are bold enough to speak out about these issues, right? So I am unapologetic about that. And so I want to make sure that people understand. Anyway, so this is great news. I mean, you and I have talked, offline, and, I told you that, anything that I could do to be supportive, because I understand that you and I are in lockstep with those priorities, right? That I am willing to lend myself to you in any way that I can to help you be successful. So we will have further conversations, people, about that. But
Can I ask what the election is?
The election is going to be Tuesday, June 8th. This is a primary, so we need all of the Democrats, independents, and even Republicans to come out and vote for us. Well, Republicans can't vote in the primary, but all the independents and the Democrats to come out and vote, because this will then decide the November election. So it is a hard-pressed, fast election. Tuesday, June the 8th.
But so the other thing that before we go, people need to know, maybe you could put it in a thread, or you talk about it very quickly, how people can connect with the campaign.
Right. How you can connect. You can connect with myself, and of course I'll put the information in the feed. We're going to need help in all different aspects, whether it's knocking on doors, whether it's making phone calls for us, mailers, helping us stuff envelopes, all of that. We're going to need help, as well as getting us in front of your people, your community, and your social groups and community groups as well. So we need to hit as many people quickly, fast, because we're making, like I said, we're going to make history by being in these positions and finally having a voice for our people.
Here we go.
Cool.
All right, and I want to say this very quickly. Somebody just sent me a note asking me, and I just love the fact that people love on me, asking me if I had gotten vaccinated. That their building is having a vaccine thing in Newark, and they have a few openings, and so they want to know if. But I'm scheduled to get my second shot tomorrow, so I'll be cool. But if somebody knows somebody who needs to get vaccinated or has been trying to, there are a few open slots, and I'm sure the person was willing to give one of the slots to me, and so I'll certainly introduce you to them if you're interested. So just inbox me or something and let me know, and then I'll make that connection. We got to get vaccinated.
By the way, I'm 15 days out, Eric.
Huh?
I'm 15 days out. So today makes my 15th day after my second vaccination, which means I'm kind of out of the bubble or whatever. I'm very excited about that. So, and it does mean something, by the way. Like, I can go into spaces and be a little more reassured that I'm safer and that my family is safer and that the bubble that I'm in is safe. So I'm kind of excited about that. This is my 15th day.
That is fantastic.
I'm going above the hunt.
That is great. Oh, Jody, did you get the song? I sent it to you. I texted to you last night.
I put it in the thread. Yeah, I put it in the thread when you first started today. That when you sent it to me, I put it on my sound system in my home, and my baby thought that was like a club song.
Yeah, well, it is. So my brother, I'm telling you, my brother is an amazing guy. So he makes he produces club music now, right? He just like, and he went and bought all this equipment, and in his house he took a bedroom and made it all into all of this stuff and started toying around with it and blah blah blah. And yeah, so I think so tell her if she likes that kind of music. I think his Instagram is Catilia Catilia Music on Instagram, but he just got signed with one of the largest house music labels to produce.
Here's the thing, though, we have to make clear, right? So, because I'm an old head, I'm an old club head, right? So these young folks don't really know what that is. So, and that's what he did that was like caught me, was that the old club music, I don't think that's house music, I think there is a difference, right? Is that music where it kind of has that big band sound, or you hear flutes and horns and drums and basses, and the music is methodical, and he did a splendid job, and there is a difference. And that's where it took me. I just never expected that my daughter would appreciate it. Right? But she made me download it and send it to her phone so that she can listen to it, because I'm sure she's on vacation and, homeschooling. I'm sure she's tearing up my house right now with loud music. So she was like, I want to play it tomorrow when you're not here. So I sent it to her. It was beautiful, very impressive.
Excellent. Share it. Get it out to anybody who wants it.
I so will.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm off tomorrow. I'm going out to enjoy this 68-degree day that we're supposed to have.
Yay.
Yay us. Thank you. Love you all.